Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of 外資系裏技英語 the greatest English language learning podcast. My name is BJ Fox and on Zoom with me right now is...
どうも、石井てるみです。今週も外資系裏技英語新しいエピソードをお届けしてまいります。BJ, you just said our podcast is the greatest English learning podcast.
In my opinion.
Well
in my
said.
opinion.
まあね、自分で言うのは勝手ですからね。
Yeah.
Okay, in our opinion, it's the greatest.
Although we were selected in English Journal, which I think is a publication by Aruku, as in their top 6 podcasts.
Wow.
So
Top 6? Okay.
Top 6.
That's great.
So that's good, isn't it? Top 6. I'll take that.
いや、すごいすごい。これだけたくさんポッドキャストの番組がある中で、ベスト6に選んでもらえたということで。
Yeah.
Just the greatest っていうのはまんざら嘘でもない。
Yeah.
Yeah.
これから。
We can say that. Yeah. Okay. 頑張っていきましょう。
Terry, do you remember in episode 42, we introduced the phrase, if you don't ask, you don't get.
自分から求めなければ手に入れることはないぞというね。If you want mother's milk, you have to ask for that.
Yeah.
ってやつ Yeah, I remember that.
And we
覚えてますよ。
and we talk, the importance of if you want something, ask for it. And then also a number of times we've talked about, in brainstorming sessions, how important it is to speak up and ask questions and speak your mind. We've said that many times.
そうね、ブレインストーミングの時なんかはもう自分から声を上げて質問もどんどんするっていうのがとても大切ですっていうのはもう今までも何度もこの番組でもお伝えしてきました。
However,
しかしながら
I'm going to make a correction, a warning to our listeners.
Wow! こんだけ言っといたのに correction. Are you gonna correct this?
Yeah.
After saying it so many times.
Yeah.
はい。ちょっと訂正、そして注意点を申し上げたいと思います。
So,
What is it?
Asking questions is great, but that doesn't mean just ask anything. There are good questions. There are also bad questions. There are things you should not ask.
なるほどね。質問することは素晴らしいけれども、何でもかんでも聞けばいいというものではないし、いい質問もあれば、どうしてもやっぱり bad questions。そんな質問しちゃうと余計、ね、黙ってるよりはいいなんてね、外資系の会社ではね、黙ってるよ、it's better to speak up rather than just to be silent all the time とは言われるものの、だとしても、やっぱり聞いちゃいけないことは、Hey, BJ, by the way, I've always wondered the difference between ask and ask for. だから質問をするのと、求めるのと。
Yeah.
It's like kind of similar.
It's
And if you don't ask, you don't get means like if you don't demand の方が近いでしょ。
Yeah, so that's more like asking for rather than asking a question. Yeah.
そうそう。何かを求めるっていうことの意味が近い、意味があるじゃない、?ask for だと。Okay. でもちょっと今回は ask だから question。質問をするっていうような。ことの意味に近いのね。
Yeah, more, less ask for, more just plain or asking. But what we're going to do in this episode is introduce a great phrase for these situations. It's actually an urawaza you can use if someone asks you the bad question. So you're on the receiving end.
なるほど。今回はそんな質問するんじゃないよという、bad question を聞かれた場合の裏技フレーズをご紹介します。はい。
And also we want to talk about the mentality behind asking questions. Like how do you make sure you ask a good question?
いい質問をするための心構えというのもご紹介したいと思います。
And that phrase, that urawaza that you can use when you're asked a bad question is Google is your friend. Tell me, a pet peeve of mine. Oh, do you know the phrase pet peeve?
Actually, I've never heard that phrase. What's pet peeve? Pet, like a dog or a cat?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
Okay, Ruben, can we check the dictionary, please?
Hey, stop, ちょっと待ってね Stop, 辞書で調べさせて Stop, stop
ムカッとくるもの。
Yeah, ムカッとくるもの。Yeah.
ムカッとくるもの。Something that irritates you, right?
Yeah.
何か苛立ってするもの。
Something that particularly irritates you.
Particularly だから、一般的に、not generally, but like something that particularly irritates you. なるほど。自分はこれがちょっとイラッとくる。そんなもののことを、a pet peeve of mine。初めて知った。P-E-T, P-E-E-V-E
Yeah.
of mine. Okay.
P-E-T-P-E-E-V-E of mine is sometimes people come to a comedy show and they'll say, that was amazing. That was great. I can't believe there's English language comedy in Tokyo. Amazing.
BJ が東京でスタンダップコメディのショーを主催しているでしょ、で、そこにお客さんが来てくれて、That was great! 素晴らしかったよ。東京で英語のコメディショーがあるなんて信じられない、素晴らしい Well, BJ, these are very nice words, isn't it?
But then they say, I've been looking for comedy for ages in Tokyo. I can't believe I found it. When's the next show?
Okay, but still I think these are good things.
And I'm like, what do you mean looking for ages? Where have you been looking? Like, what have you been going to like every bar just asking one by just
knock knock knock.
Just Google it. Just Google it.
Is there a comedy show going on? No.
So,
まあね、そういうことか。なるほど。
Just Google it.
リサーチで一発で出てくるはずなのに何年も探してたじゃないよっていう話ね。
And I also get emails from people who say, "Oh, I really want to try out stand-up comedy in Tokyo. How should I start?" Well, the answer is Google it. When people ask me like when the next show is, when's the next show, BJ? Google it.
Google it. BJ は、その東京で行われている英語でのスタンダップコメディのね、ライブの主催者とか、まあいろいろね、まあ、BJ に聞けば大丈夫。Ask BJ みたいなところがあるから、まあいろいろ問い合わせが来ると。で、始めたいんだけれども、どうしたらいいとか、次のショーはどこであるのっていう問い合わせが来るけれども、そのために BJ は、Google it!Google it. 思うわけね。はい。I know what you mean よ。
Yeah,
わかるよ。
I'm exaggerating a little bit.
はい、ちょっと大げさに言っているものの。
But I do find it a little bit annoying when people ask questions about easily available information.
Easily available. まあね、まあ今の時代は調べてわからないことなんてほとんどないから、もう簡単に手に入るはずの情報を質問してくる人に対して、BJ はちょっょっとイラッとしてしまうわけね。
Okay, so it happened to me the other week at work. Someone in my Paris office wrote to me to arrange a meeting, and they said, we want to have the meeting at 12 p.m. noon Paris time. What time is that in Japan? I'm like, just Google that stuff. Like you don't even need to go to a website for that. That is just in the search bar. You could type in Paris, Japan, time difference, and the answer will come up like magic.
そんなのはもうググるまでもない。まあググる。結局まあググるんだけれども、まあ時差、パリ、東京で一瞬で出てくると。なんでそんなのわざわざ聞くのだと。
Yeah.
いやまあね、あるこういうのはたくさんね。いや調べれないんかいっていうね。調べればわかるだろっていうことは。
Yeah.
Yeah, this happens a lot. Yeah.
Just by the way, listeners, I'm sounding a bit angry. Maybe I'm not sleeping very much at the moment.
忙しいからね、BJ 今。
So yeah, don't be scared. If you've got any questions about the show, please do write in. We like when people write to us. Yeah.
そう、ちょっとね、リスナー今聞いてくださってる皆さんね、ちょっと BJ ちょっと怖いんじゃないのってもしかしたら思っちゃうかもしれないけれどもね、ちょっと BJ は今ね、お父さんになったばっかりだし、ちょっと職場も変わったりなんかして、ちょっと忙しいから、もしかしたら今ちょっとイライラしてるのかもしれないけども、ね、We love to hear from our listeners.
Yeah.
これは間違いないのでね、何でもいいので、どんどん遠慮なく、怖がらずに質問してくださいね。
Yeah.
But BJ. Sometimes, ね。
Yeah.
They just want to communicate with you, whatever the content is.
Okay. I'll accept that. But I think there are levels. I think almost, you know, I appreciate it. Sometimes you want to reach out to someone.
そう。とにかくちょっと BJ と喋ってみたいから、なんか easily available な質問がつい出ちゃうとか、なんか、あとはなんか自分の安心のために、なんか調べればわかるし分かってるんだけど、ちょっと、なんて言うんだろうな。私はね、ちょっとそういうこと全くしたことないわけではないから、ちょっと分かってあげてよ。
Yeah. Do you know, but the comedy example, Like people who write to me and say, how do I start comedy? And like you can just search it really. But those people, when people haven't even searched it, in my head, I'm like, oh, that person is a time waster.
うわぁ、厳しい、やっぱり。やっぱり BJ ちょっと皆さん、なんかイライラしてるみたいなんですけど、タイムウェイスターまで行っちゃった。
Well, like, you know.
そうなってくるとさ、コミュニケーション、you have to enjoy more the communication, right?
Yeah, well, you know, okay, imagine you're like a manager. You want your, you know, booker, your reports to be able to take initiative, to do as much as possible by themselves. When they can't even search, or you're like, oh, okay, that person, yeah, that's not going to go well.
まあまあまあ、でもね、そう。ね、ちょっと私もいろいろ言ってみたけど、でもやっぱり、程度の問題ってのが、it's a matter of level, right?
Yeah,
いや、本当にあからさまに調べればわかることってのをわざわざ聞かれることってのはあるし。
Yeah.
いや、それは本当時間、タイムウェイスター
Yeah.
とみなされてしまってもしょうがないっていうことは、まあたまにありますよね。まずは調べてから聞くべきなんじゃないかなっていう場面ありますね。
And also I would say, you know, when people ask me these questions, I don't go, just Google it. I politely say, okay, yeah. I give them the answer and then I say, Google is your friend. I don't get angry. I don't get angry at work.
Okay. ちょっと待って、BJ それ本当に言うの？ Do you really say Google's your friend?
Yeah. Or sometimes, often, because it's an email, I might send a meme. Do you know what a meme is?
Meme? Meme ってなんだっけ？
Like a GIF with Google is your friend.
はい。GIF みたいな。
Yeah.
Google is your friend 画像みたいなやつを送りつけるんだ。
Yeah.
それなんか、it's even more even scary.
It's like a joke.
あ、なるほどね。冗談として、ググれや。
Yeah.
ググればわかるだろうみたいな。
But not really a joke.
やっぱ怒ってるんだ。怖いよ。
Yeah, I think it's a nice way of saying it. A little bit sarcastic, a little bit pointed, but it sounds nice. But the underlying message is, come on, don't waste my time.
Don't waste my time. まあでも私もその、ね、外資系コンサルティング会社で働いてましたけども、やっぱり、いや、こんな聞かなくてもわかることをいちいち聞いてくるなよ、みたいなのはなんか当然、underlying な感じはする。そんな時に、まあね、just Google is your friend っていう言葉を言うわけね。
Yeah, and I think like saying Google is your friend is nicer than saying things like, just Google it, or why don't you Google it? You know, I think it's polite enough.
あ、そう。ググればいいじゃんとか、Why don't you Google it? ググらないんですか、ググってみればいいじゃないですかっていうよりも、Google is your friend って言った方が、まあちょっともう冗談っぽくもなるし、nicer に聞こえると。
But it still lets the person know that you aren't impressed with the question.
まあちょっとあんまりいい質問じゃなかったってことがね、伝わる言い方でもありますね。
And so I know this is a terrible episode because I'm getting so angry, but it's an important phrase. Don't be scared to use it because I also think if you allow one question in and you say, oh, I'll just answer it, then those questions will keep coming.
そっか、一回質問が来て、いや、ググればわかるのになってことに、丁寧に返すと、その人は気づかないで、the person wouldn't notice and they keep asking again those questions, those easily available questions をいつまでも聞き続けるから、どこかでは気づかせてあげないといけないということね。
Yeah, and it'll be like every time I'm like, yep, same as last time. Japan is still 8 hours ahead of Paris. 7 hours.
間違えちゃったけど、7 hours 違うよということをどこかで伝えてあげないといけない。
Yeah. Or it'll be, if I say this time, I say it's this time, then next week, it'll be the same. So set boundaries, set boundaries.
Set boundaries. ちゃんと一線を引く。まあ大体ね、ありますよね。その、本人に聞かなきゃわからないことか、調べれば誰でもわかることなのかっていうのは、働いているうちに、まあいろいろやり取りしていくうちに全然明らかになるので、そういった一線はちゃんと、しっかりと引きましょうということですね。
Yeah. And then, like, Google is your friend is a phrase you ask if you've received the question. But everyone, as listeners, let's try to research if possible. You know, if you're going to ask a question, research beforehand. Quickly check if the information's available online.
誰かに質問する直前に、その、 自分が調べたいこと、知りたいことっていうのを軽くリサーチしてオンラインですぐにわかることかどうかっていうのは、まあ、簡単に調べないとね、こんなの調べればすぐ出るじゃんって。私言われたことある、これ。あるわ。あったわ、そういえば。いや、なんか、this reminds me of my old days だけど。
really?
そう。検索のワードとかにもね、どういうワードで検索するかとかにもよるけれども、まあ、あまりにもね、なんて的外れなことをわざわざ聞いたりすると、って思われちゃうからね。
Yeah, it doesn't leave a good impression.
そう。いい印象は残さない。
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. Don't forget, we also upload every single episode to YouTube.
外資系裏技英語をポッドキャストで聞いてくださってる方多いかもしれませんけれども、私たちの今までのエピソードすべて YouTube に載っています。そして最近のエピソードは私たちの Zoom での動画付きで、はい、2人の BJ と私2人の映像付きでエピソードが丸ごと載っています。
Yeah, and I think, so much of communication is visual, so maybe it helps to watch.
そうですね。音声だけではなくて、見て、動画で2人が喋っているところも見ていただけると思うので、ぜひそちらもお楽しみください。
Yeah, and if you have colleagues who don't use podcasts, please recommend the YouTube channel to them and subscribe.
ポッドキャストはあまり聞かないというお友達がいらしたら、ぜひ YouTube を進めて、サブスクライブ登録していただけると嬉しいです。So, BJ, in Japan we say, ググレカス。
ググレカス。
ググレ。
Yeah, that means Google. You Google. Yeah.
You Google. カス means like なんか、カス。でも、this is like an internet slang.
Okay.
ググレカスはね、そう。
Is that rude? Can I use that in the workplace?
No, not in the workplace. We never say it like verbally.
So, can I send that as a meme to a client?
Not to a client, maybe to 仲のいい同僚とかだったら冗談で言い合えるかもしれないけど、no, never to your clients. そう。ググレカス。
ググレカス。Okay.
Means like, just Google it, you stupid, みたいな感じかな。
That sounds way more direct than Google is your friend.
いや、これはなんか本当ネットスラングだから皆さんくれぐれも職場では。まあもちろんね、これ聞いてる日本人の方はわかるとは思うんですけれども。まあそういうことですよね。Google is your friend. Yeah.
Okay, shall we hear it in action?
Okay.
Hey, BJ.
Hey, Ruben. Sorry, I'm pretty busy. I'm about to head to the client's office.
Yeah, no problem. Which client was that?
The book publisher guy. The book publisher one.
Oh, yeah. What was that? What was that called again?
It doesn't matter. You don't know who they are. What do you want? What's the question?
Oh, yeah, no, so I have a question for you.
Okay, go.
Yeah, so you sent me a budget.
Yeah, next quarter marketing budget, yeah?
Yep, that's the one. And you're asking for 50000. Is that yen? Yen.
Yeah, well, I'm asking, no, 5000, 5 million yen. 5 million yen.
5 million. Oh, yeah, Japanese numbers are just hard.
Yeah, sorry, that's not a Japanese number, that's just a number.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it's digital and non-digital marketing and...
Yeah, okay, it's a full marketing budget as per normal, digital and non-digital. Ruben, what was your question? I'm busy.
So I wanted to ask, so you've submitted the forecasts in Japanese yen. Do you have the figure in US dollars?
What? That was the question. What? Hold on. Okay, so the exchange rate is $1 to 107.24 yen. So 5 million budget is $46,620 US dollars. Okay, that was it.
46. Okay, great, thanks.
Okay, and Ruben, next time, Google is your friend.
Sure, of course. Yeah.
Okay, I've got to run. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay, so BJ, you gave him the answer first. もう最初に BJ がその計算をして答えを教えてあげたよね。
Yeah, yes. I could have just shouted, Ruben, Google is your friend. But this is the workplace. I didn't want to be aggressive.
これ、US ドラーだといくらのって聞かれた瞬間に、 いやいやいや、ググればわかるでしょっていうこともできたけれども、ここは仕事場なので、ちょっと穏便に行こうと。
Yeah.
BJ は思ったわけですね。
So I gave him the answer first, politely, and then politely warned him, next time, you should check it first.
そう、すごく丁寧に、まずは、BJ が計算をして答えを教えてあげて、で、その後とても、また丁寧に、礼儀正しく、次は、あなたちゃんとググれば分かったことでしょっていうのをすごく優しく、丁寧に伝えました。
So, yeah, like so far in this episode, I've come across quite angry. This sounds like a very direct phrase, but that's not the goal. The goal is to maintain politeness, but at the same time, give them the message that they should work harder and do it themselves.
ちょっとね、BJ はこのエピソードで怒っているように聞かれていますけれども、別に、相手をね、不快な気持ちにさせたりとかそういうことはもちろん意図していなくって、当然仕事の場でのスムーズなコミュニケーションを続けたいので、まあ、丁寧に、訂正をして、で、次に、ググればわかるんだよということ、そしてもっと仕事が効率的にできる方法というのを BJ が優しくサジェストしました。
Exactly. Okay, let's break this down into some steps. So, the situation is someone's asking you a stupid question.
すげえ。very direct な。
Okay.
誰かがアホな、stupid なクエスチョンをしてきました。
Okay, let's change that phrase. Not a stupid question, an easily Googleable.
Googleable.
Yeah.
Googleable って言うのこれ。Did you make it up or do you English people say it?
I think this is a phrase that you can say. Ruben, Googleable. What do you think?
I think it's completely fine. 752,000 results for Googleable.
Googleable.
Wow.
Wait, hang on. No, I spelled it wrong. Googleability is also a word as well.
Googleability.
ね. Okay.
Okay. And all we're doing there, by the way, is we're putting able on the end of Google.
Googleable ね. Okay.
Okay. So not a stupid question, an easily Googleable.
Easily Googleable ね. ググればすぐにわかるような質問をされたとします。
Okay. So step 1. In your mind, you say, please don't waste my time. But only in your mind. You don't say it out loud.
はい、ステップ1といたしましては、自分の頭の中で、ちょっと勘弁してよ。私の時間を取らないでよ。で、これはあくまでも心の中で言うだけで、声に出してはいけません。Okay? それステップ1なんだ。Okay. So what's the second step?
Step 2 is, because your time's already been wasted, you might as well give them the answer. So be cooperative and give them the answer.
もうすでに、ね、時間を無駄にされてしまっているというわけなので、もうそこは割り切って、ステップ2といたしましては、もう答えを、ね、ググれって先に言うんじゃなくて、もう答えを教えてあげましょう。協力しましょう。Okay?
Step 3, you say, but. And then you say the person's name. So, but Ruben, but Terumi.
はい、ステップ3としては、but でもね、Ruben, but BJ. はい、ここで相手の名前をわざわざ言う。なんか怖い。
Step 4 is, you say this. Next time, Google is your friend.
今度やるときは、Google がいつもそばにいるって忘れないでね。ってようやくステップ4で言うのね。
And then sometimes what will happen, in that moment, they'll realize that they asked a easily Googleable question.
ここで相手がすぐにググればわかることを聞いてしまったと気づくこともあります。
And then they'll apologize. They'll say, oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, sorry.
その時に、そうか、調べればわかることだった。ごめんって相手が言うでしょう。
And then that leads you to an optional step 5, which is you say, oh, no problem. But next time.
なんか聞いたことあるやつだね。I've heard of, like, no ってなんかね、結構前に聞きましたけども、相手がもしね、そうか、ググればわかること聞いちゃってごめんねって言ったら、oh, no problem. 大丈夫大丈夫。全然大した問題じゃないよ。でも次回はね、しっかりしてよ。ということで、念を押すわけですね。Okay. Okay, BJ, but would you use this phrase for superiors? その先輩とか、上司とか、そういう人にもこんなこと言って大丈夫？
That's a really good question. Not really. Actually, it's a bit too direct.
やっぱりちょっとダイレクトすぎるからそんなに使えないと。
But what I would say is, instead of Google is your friend, I would say something like, oh, hold on, just let me Google that. And then get the answer. So,
そう、笑っちゃったけど先に。だから、Google is your friend とは確かに相手に言っちゃうと失礼になるから、その代わりに、目の前で、ちょっと待ってください。just let me Google that. ちょっと今調べますね。で、相手の目の前で調べるのね。Wow, that's so sarcastic.
No, I wouldn't do it in a I wouldn't do it in a sarcastic way. Like, for example, if Ruben asked me about the exchange rate on the phone, I was like, hold on, Ruben, I'll just quickly Google that the dollar price is. I would do it very straight.
なるほど。
Yeah.
そんななんか嫌味な雰囲気とかニュアンスを持たせずに、
Yeah.
もうストレートに、ちょっと待って、今、レート調べるから、つって、パーッと作業に取り組むと。
Yeah.
なるほど。それは very smart に感じますね。
And it, you know, even more indirectly, politely letting them know, come on, mate, you could have Googled that.
なるほどね。Okay.
But be careful.
Be careful! そうよ、be careful よ、これ。やり方間違えると、なんか失礼なやつになるから。なっちゃうから、もうシンプルに本当にね、調べたいんだっていう気持ちでね、ググれば大丈夫だと。
Okay.
なるほど。
Let's get you practicing this excellent urawaza.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you a easily Googleable question, Terumi. Imagine that you're very busy.
Okay. とても忙しいと想定しましょう。
Hey, Terumi, sorry to bother you. You know those two guys in, the Manzai guys downtown?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so what are their names and how do you write them in kanji?
Oh, their names? Well, they're like generally called Machan and Hama-chan.
Machana.
Matsumoto-san, Hamada-san.
Okay, and how do you write them in Japanese? How do you write them in kanji?
Well, Machan is like pine. Matsu is like pine. Means pine.
Pine.
Pine is like tree. You write a tree. 木を書いて。
木? Okay.
ね、難しいな、浜をこう。It's very, difficult to tell
So,
you.
could you just send it to me by Slack?
Oh, okay. Yeah, then I'll just send it to you via Slack.
Okay.
But wait, BJ.
Yeah?
Next time,
Yeah.
BJ, Google is your friend!
Oh, yeah, sorry. I should have checked. I could have just Googled that, sorry.
No problem, but next time.
Bye.
なんで口頭で漢字をシェアしようとしてる
I don't know. Yeah, but I was being a time waster. That's what I was trying to be. An aggressive time waster there.
そうね、タイムウェイスターだったね。まあでも、ちょっと可愛かったけどね。なんか、I felt like I wanted to help you out.
You're too kind. You're too kind.
いや、まあね、そういうコミュニケーション自体が。
Yeah, maybe I just wanted to communicate with you, telling me.
なんかね、that made me feel like maybe this guy might like me.
Oh.
そう。なんか、pointless な会話で、なんか、私ととにかく喋りたいのかなっていう。
You know, that is a urawaza, isn't it? Like when you're like trying to talk to someone like that you like, you send them a pointless message and just see if they respond.
そうだね。好きな人に対してはね、どうでもいいこと聞いて、本当は別に調べればわかるようなこととか、聞いてもどうしようもないことを質問したりして、とにかく相手と会話したいのかな。
That's probably why I was single for so long. Yeah. Anyway, that's for the future love 裏技英語。
ラブ裏技ね、外資系、ラブ系裏技英語がもしありましたらね、お届けしたいと思います。
Anyway, your practice session was great. Thank you very much for using it so well.
But BJ, I think this happens in reality.
Yeah.
Like, let's say I've searched, but I couldn't find the answer. So I really have to ask the question. I may still appear annoying.
Yeah, there is a danger of that. So I think what's important, let's say you have searched on the internet, you can't find the answer, and you're like, oh, I really don't want to ask my boss, but I have to. Tell me, give me an example. Ask me a question.
Okay, BJ.
Yeah.
When is your next gig?
Okay. So what I would do, instead of asking it that way, firstly, you've Googled it. Step 1, Google. Step 2, I would ask that question. Instead of saying, when is your next gig? I would say, sorry, I've searched online, but I couldn't find the answer. BJ, when is your next gig?
なるほど。急に BJ に When is your next gig って聞くのではなくて、オンラインで調べたけれども見つかりませんでした。なので、次のギグはいつか教えてくださいっていう、そういう聞き方をするということですね。
Yeah, just to show that you have put the effort in.
そうね。
Yeah.
ちゃんと努力はしたと、調べる努力はしたということを示してから質問するのがいいのではないかということですね。
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously this only works with questions that you can't Google or that, where the answer is hard to find. You do actually have to check first.
Okay.
Go to the website first, check the FAQs, show them that you've done the work before asking the question.
まずウェブサイト見に行って、frequently asked questions ちゃんと質問事項とかも見て、で、まあできることは、直接相手に聞く前に自分で調べられることはやってきましたっていうことを示してから、質問をしましょう。
And I guess in that case, if, you've done all of that and you still can't find when my next gig is, that's a good warning for me that maybe the information is too hard to find out.
そうね。なんかそこまでしてオンラインでいろいろ調べて、それでもわからなかったっていうのはもう逆に、your information が it's hard to find.
Yeah.
だから、BJ がわかりやすく発しておくべきだった情報が見つかりにくいかったよっていうことで、逆に BJ の warning、注意、喚起にもなる。とも考えられますね。Yeah.
I guess this Urawaza this week, Terumi, is all about how to stay calm when someone asks you an annoying question.
はい、ということで、今週の外資系裏技英語は、まあ、イラッとする質問、まあ、わかるだろうという質問を聞かれたときにも、なんて答えるかというよりも、もういかに冷静に努めて、振る舞えるかという、そういった話になってきましたね。
You're polite, but you still let them quietly know that you aren't happy, you aren't impressed.
すぐに怒るなんてまあ論外だけれども、論外なので、まあ、その礼儀正しくて、まあ、職場にふさわしい態度、相手に不快な思いをさせない礼儀正しい態度を取りながらも、まあ、ちょっとそんなにこっちはハッピーじゃないよということを静かに知らせましょう。
And it's also about valuing your own time and making sure others treat your time with respect.
そしてやっぱり、まあ、職場ではね、お互い忙しくて時間に限りがあるので、まあ、その自分の時間をちゃんと重視して大事に扱ってくれて、リスペクトとともに私の時間を、だからむやみに奪わないということですね。Yeah.
We always talk about speaking up, and I believe you should ask questions, but always make sure you make the most of that opportunity. Don't waste a question by asking something that you can check.
そうね、今までは常に私たちは、どんどん、スピークアップ、どんどん発言していきましょうということをしてきましたし、まあ、質問もどんどんするべきではあります。だけれども、まあ、調べてわかるようなことは、まあ、その質問の機会を台無しにしてしまうので、ちゃんと調べたり自分でどうにかしてまずわかることで、損をしないようにということで、自分のできる努力は先にしましょう。
Yeah. So, I'm sorry if I came across a little bit angry this week, Terumi.
いや、なんかね、すごい実感がこもってて、面白かった。It was interesting, funny. Maybe you have experienced, came across those kind of situations where, someone asking you very, easily Googleable questions.
Yeah. But, I do respect people's time and just thank you all, you too, Terumi, and you, Ruben, and all our listeners for spending their time with us on this episode.
いや、本 とそうでございますよ。なんかね、お互いの時間をちゃんと尊重するっていうのは大事ですけれども、ね、この、ポッドキャスト外資系裏技英語を聞いてくださっている皆さん、時間を費やして聞いてくださっているわけですから、どうもありがとうございます。I hope it's worth it.
Yeah, and don't be scared to send us questions. Don't be scared.
あ、そうそう。私はちなみにどんな質問にも答えますから。いや、なんかもうどこかで答えた質問でもいくらでも答えますのでね。いつでも、SNS で質問投げかけてもらえたら嬉しいです。Like, no reaction is the saddest thing.
No reaction is the saddest thing. So yeah, go onto our YouTube, go onto our Twitter, Instagram, at Urawaza Eigo, and please comment, please like. It always makes us very, very happy.
ぜひ、フォローして、コメントを、ぜひ、素敵なコメントを残していただけると。まあ、ご意見でも何でもいいです。嬉しいです。よろしくお願いいたします。And BJ, by the way, when is our next episode coming out?
Our next episode, Terumi? Is that the question? Okay.
Yeah. When the next episode?
Let me. I'm just gonna. It's coming out next Monday. Yeah.
Oh, next Monday.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But Terumi, next time, Google is your friend.
Oh, I'm sorry, BJ.
Bye. See you next week.
バイバイ。皆さんありがとうございました。また来週です。
Thank you very much for listening. Urawaza Eigo is produced by Okomediyaki Productions and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other podcast platforms.
Twitter と Instagram の外資系裏技英語アカウント、裏技英語もぜひフォローしてください。YouTube チャンネルでもさらにコンテンツをお楽しみいただけます。
Each episode comes with a study worksheet, and these can be found on our homepage. Please Google 外資系裏技英語 and you'll find the homepage.
そして、ポッドキャストを気に入っていただけたら、ぜひ職場の仲間やお友達に広めていただけると嬉しいです。もしくは、外資系裏技英語オフィシャル LINE スタンプを送ってみるのもいいですよ。外資系裏技英語スタンプは LINE のスタンプショップで購入できます。